Hey, in this episode, we are continuing on our Lap of Tasmania. We start off by discovering Tasmania's highest waterfall, and we tell you about the unique way to reach the bottom of the falls. Our lunch spot was one of those places that you can only discover on a road trip. Lake Rosebery at Tullah was idyllic. Finally, we found our way to our accommodation in the world-famous Cradle Mountain National Park. If there is one place that people have heard of in Tassie, it is Cradle Mountain. It's almost too beautiful to describe, with its snow-covered mountain peaks, ancient rainforests, glacial lakes, and abundance of unique Australian wildlife. It is breathtaking. We share which walks and hikes to do and how best to explore the national park, where to stay, and the best way to see those adorable Aussie animals. In fact, I share my favourite Aussie animal and how excited I was to see some, and a very interesting fact about these little furry creatures that I guarantee you will not have heard before. Lastly, we head north to Stanley and the famous Nut, which is a very unusual looking large rock formation that can be seen for miles. We take you up the Nut, we tell you how it was formed, and wander around the top to see the best views of Bass Strait and the beaches of Stanley. One of our favourite things about Stanley was the seafood, and no wonder, as the local restaurants source the freshest catches of the day just from off the ship. So just think, lobsters, crayfish, scallops, oysters, yum. We share the best places to experience the local seafood and where to stay when visiting Stanley. We hope you enjoy episode 46, which is part 2 of our Tasmanian road trip. Cheers! And welcome to the Beach Travel Wine Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Leanne.
And I'm Lyle, and this is the travel podcast for beach-loving, wine-drinking couples over 50.
So if that sounds like you, grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax and listen as we go travelling the world, one wine at a time.
Cheers.
Good morning, Lyle.
Good morning, Leanne.
Leanne.
Oh, Leonita. Oh, buenos dias, Leonita.
How are you, darling?
Muy bien.
We are on our second part of our Lap of Tasmania today. And, we've had some great feedback from our first episode of when we went to all the way to Strawn.
Have we?
Yeah, we did.
Fair enough.
Laughing at me. Well, I have. I don't know where you've been.
You got no idea. Leanne's just giving me the filthiest look of all time.
Oh, really?
I couldn't. Yeah, well, I
Back
know.
me up. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Well,
right?
I know it's the truth, but I couldn't help myself.
It doesn't help, right?
I knew it would throw you off. Right. But anyway,
it
go
did.
on.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I've got 68 written up here, and I don't know what that is. Is that must be
68?
Must be your age, I think.
No, it's 1 year to go.
Actually, you know what 68 is? I know what it is. That's how many countries are listening to our podcast.
Is that right?
That's right. 68.
That's fabulous.
I know, right? I counted them up this morning. 68 different countries. I know. There's one there I have never even
And how many countries is there in the world?
It's 195, 96. Yeah. So anyway, so today we're going part 2 of our Lap of Tasmania, and we're going from the beautiful little village on the west of Tasmania, Strawn, to Cradle Mountain. Yes?
Correct.
Now, Cradle Mountain is one of those places, if you say Tasmania, people have heard of Cradle Mountain.
Sure.
We're going to talk a bit about that in a little while, but it is sort of an iconic national park hiking area, and for good reason. Right?
Yeah, that's actually probably almost, I reckon it'll be in the top 3 in Australia, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, from Strawn
hang on, and then, sorry, we're going to finish in Stanley, up on the coast.
So
after Cradle Mountain, that's where our lap is going to take us today.
Yeah, that's in the northwest.
Yes, right. So on the Bass Strait. So that's where we're going to finish. But let's start from our trip from leaving Strawn to Cradle Mountain, because we found a few really gorgeous places along the way.
Yeah, yes? But look, as far as from Strawn to Cradle Mountain, it's about 145k, and it takes about 2 hours 15 minutes. However, as Leanne said, we did do a couple of stops.
So the first stop, what did you say, 2 hours something, like it's the first place
2.25 hours.
Yeah, the first place we stopped was Montezuma Falls, and it's interesting because, like it's one of those places that, you sort of see on a few brochures around the place, but we hadn't really heard of it. And I was surprised because, we talked about Nelson Falls in our first, lap episode, but Montezuma Falls is the highest waterfall in Tasmania at 104 metres.
Correct.
Now, it's a little bit of a windy road to get to the car park. So, it's not a great big turn or anything. You sort of got to know where you're going. And you turn off and you follow the road up. And, yeah, as I said, there's a car park there. And there's like just a little wooden sort of toilet area. And then you just basically start walking. There's a walking track, and there's also a mountain bike track which goes off to the side. Yes,
that's correct.
But we walked along the track. Now it's about 11k return.
Yeah, 11.5k.
Okay. And the thing that you're going to tell us about, but it's not difficult, is it?
No, not at all. The track has a hardened surface that may have a gentle hill section and occasional steps. The walk follows a former tramway through wet, steep, thickly forested country to one of the highest falls, one of the highest falls in Tasmania. The track eventually comes right to the base of the 104 high falls and to the bridge that offers great views back to the falls and out to the wild western rainforest. I get that wild western.
Just stop there for a minute, okay?
Yeah.
Lyle's the facts guy. I'm just remembering the how amazing it was. But when you sort of skimmed over it there, it runs along an old tram track. So if you think about that, it just means that it's got these wooden, what are the not piers, but the Sleepers, thank you. And there's still quite a lot of those there.
Sure.
So the path is wide and it is flat because the tram had to go along this track. So when it says a slight hill, and you've said like steep, wet.
Yeah, at the sides.
That's right. So
steep.
As you're walking along, you've sort of got a wall of rocks with little not waterfalls, but little bits of water coming down, and moss and ferns and
little caves. There was little
caves along the way, and then all of a sudden it just gets a bit, I don't know. It's sort of what do you call it? It goes down to like there's not so steep. It's like more lush land.
Yep.
Yeah. As you're going along, and it's just it's beautiful, and you don't even know you're walking the 5-something kilometres in.
No, it did. Yeah, look, it took about 3 hours, but we weren't in a hurry. But it's an easy walk. It's I think they graded it too.
That's my point. You wouldn't be able to push a pram in there because there are you said like hard places, but if it's been raining, there are some
it's
puddles.
compacted. The soil is compacted.
But there are puddles, and you are jumping over a few puddles and things. But the thing that really surprised me, and I've put some really nice pictures on our website at beachtravelwine.com, but also on Instagram. If you go to the top, the Stories Tasmania, you'll see how excited I was. I got so excited when we got to the bottom of this waterfall. I couldn't believe it, because normally you sort of come to the waterfall at the top and you look over, but you're right at the bottom. And you just can't, you keep looking up and up and up and up and up, and you finally sort of can see the top. I was blown away by this waterfall.
Yeah, I mean, you can hear the water as you're getting closer and closer and closer, but it sort of seemed to come out of nowhere, the actual falls, I felt. So, but yeah, look, it was well worth the walk.
It was beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was magnificent.
I really and then it's on the way back you're discovering because you've been to the waterfall, and you just sort of take in the scenery even more, and the staghorns up in the beautiful big trees, and it's even if the waterfall wasn't there, the walk would be beautiful. Yeah. We loved it, didn't we? It was really, really beautiful. After our really amazing hike to Montezuma Falls, we then decided we were going to find a little spot to have lunch, didn't we?
Yeah, I think John, our friend,
Yes.
may have actually suggested Tullah.
Oh, did he? Because I thought we discovered that on our own.
Well,
But okay.
maybe. I'm not sure. But anyway, Tullah's a beautiful little town, and I mean little, but it's got a fabulous lakeside.
Did they have a caravan park or like a...
Yeah, there was camping. Yeah, lakeside village, the Tullah Lakeside Lodge. We stopped there for lunch. I think we had burgers, which were about $24 each, and they were spectacular.
But it was interesting. We were the only ones there.
That's true.
All outside.
I did say it was small.
Yeah, there were some people inside, but we. And once again, go and check out those photos and the videos, because we're sitting there in this idyllic outside location on this beautiful lake, which I'm sure you're going to tell us about in a minute. But around the lake, there's the tree ferns and the agapanthus and the gum trees sort of overlooking the beautiful water, and the water was still. And I actually went down. There's a track around the lake that you can do as well. We'd obviously done our hike, but I wanted to go down and have a bit of a look. But it's a man-made lake, yeah?
Yes. Lake Rosebery.
Yes.
Is a man-made water reservoir. Is fed by the dammed McIntosh and Murchison rivers. It was first flooded in 1983, and it's got a surface area of 350 hectares. Look, it is beautiful, and where the actual lodge is located, it's right on the water's edge. It's magnificent. And inside the lodge, obviously, when it's cooler, you've got this huge open fire area.
Rocks, like and a bar, and
like a granite.
That's it. Yeah,
a granite face of the actual fireplace.
Now I'm probably asking you something you don't know, but is it this dam used for like recreation? I think it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so you can think.
Yeah, you can do all
the water sports on
it. All that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Look,
I'd love to do that. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, it was. And again, we were really fortunate. It was a beautiful, sunny. I think it was about midday when we got there, and it was just glorious. We took our time. As Leanne said, we were the only ones there. And it was well worth a stop. And the food, as I said, was really good.
Yeah, and I think, if they've got some little petrol stations and things there too. It's like just a little village. But obviously people stay there to do the water sports and the hikes around the area, because, Tasmania's just like, so well known for all its hikes.
Well, the other side of it too is it's quite close to Montezuma Falls, and obviously the McIntosh Dam and all that sort of thing. So there's plenty of things to go and have a look at.
Yeah, it's interesting though. Like you hear of like where we're going, Cradle Mountain, but these other little places that you discover as you're road tripping around is like that's what makes it worthwhile too, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
So after that was an amazing morning, a waterfall, Montezuma, and then this beautiful, idyllic lakeside setting. That's hard. That's like your where we're worse, isn't it? And anyway, then we headed to Cradle Mountain. Now, Cradle Mountain National Park, right? There's all sorts of places you can stay. But where were we staying? What was that? The Cradle Mountain Lodge, was it? We stayed at
Wilderness Lodge.
Yeah,
the Cradle Mountain Wilderness Lodge. Yeah.
So, do you want to tell us a little bit about Cradle Mountain?
Sure. Okay, it's got a huge population, 66. So that's right. That's what I said. There's only 66 people living. Yeah, Cradle Mountain is a place of exceptional natural beauty.
True.
In the heart of the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area.
Yes, true.
From moss-covered ancient rainforests and deep river gorges to snow-covered mountain peaks, wild alpine moorlands and glacial lakes, the park is revered for its diverse and breathtaking landscape.
All right. Can I just stop you there?
If you must.
That was a great description. Well done, well written. But that is what it is.
Thanks, Mr. Google.
There's like that's right, glacial lakes, snow-capped mountains, moss-covered rainforest. In the wilderness. So, Yeah, it's not just, oh, let's just go to Cradle Mountain and have a look. It's beautiful. It's one of the most pristine places in the world that you'll ever see.
Yeah, and the park offers world-class system of walking tracks
Oh, yeah.
to explore that ranges from very short,
Mhm.
easy strolls to the legendary overland track. This 5 to 6 day hike stretches 80 kilometres from Cradle Mountain to Lake St Clair through Tasmania's alpine heart.
Now, we talked about Lake St Clair in our last podcast, episode 45. And yeah, so a lot of people do this iconic walk, like it's, everyone talks about, the Caminos and things like that. But this is one of those challenging hikes. And as you said, 5 to 6 days. And there's little cabins, to stay in along the way. And it can be quite severe and quite harsh, the conditions, because you can start off on a sunny day and then a snowstorm or a sleet storm can come in. So you need to be really fit and prepared for that. It's not one of those hikes you just think you're going to have a crack at.
Yeah, basically weatherproof clothes.
Yeah.
Food and drink. So
you got to carry it all.
Yeah, you got to carry it all.
And there's not much getting out of there once you start hiking in. You did say some short walks for strolling, like Lyle and Leanne style walks.
Well, they call it the rainforest walk. Lasts about 10 to 20 minutes, and it's ideal for toddlers and young children, and that's sort of on the way out. That's only a small walk. Then there's the Cradle Mountain Summit. That's a 12.5 grade 4 hike.
Yeah, so if you Cradle Mountain is like the dominant feature in the surrounding landscape, and sometimes you can't even see the peak because it's so high, it's in the clouds. And there are crazy people that actually want to hike up to the top.
Yeah, look, it should take about 7 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Then you've got actually, I do remember, I wanted to say it. That pass, remember we talked about it last episode, that is about $96.
Okay, that's the
national park pass.
Right.
Okay, so that
we've got all the purrs and the were going on.
So then we've got this is the one we did. Well, we did more than one, but we did the Dove Lake Walk, which is 6 kilometres, moderately challenging. That's probably why we did it. It takes on average an hour and 40 minutes to complete. This is a popular area for hiking. You will likely encounter other people.
Well, we took about 2 hours, I remember, because there's, once again, on the website, there's all the photos, and I did lots of videos going around.
I was just about to mention the fact that why we took longer is maybe because of Leanne's
documentation
of the
You're welcome. But we had a beautiful day, and
it was a bit cool, which was good because
I don't remember it being cool. I remember it being beautiful. But there's a lot of like boardwalks, around, and then there's some rock steps, and it's not flat. You can't push a pram or anything like that. But you could take children if they were big enough to walk and have a few stops. There's lots of little places to stop on the lake or up high and look down on the lake, and it's certainly worth doing. And you can see all the way around as you're going, so you sort of got water views the whole way. And then when you get round to the other side, there's like a little hut it's iconic sort of photo of Cradle Mountain, Dove Lake. But do you have any information on Dove Lake itself? No.
Okay. It was big.
It's a glacial lake, right?
Yeah, it's a glacial lake.
So it's really deep, and obviously it was formed many, many years ago, and you can't drive into Cradle Mountain National Park.
No, that's right. I've got that.
Yeah, you can only drive to the information centre. Now I have to say, this information set is pretty cool. But is there anything else you want to talk about the hikes and things before?
Yeah, there was one. There was one other walk that we did.
Yes.
Which when I saw it, the Enchanted Forest Walk, I thought, what do you mean Enchanted Forest Walk? Well, it's a 1.6 grade 2 hike.
Yeah.
It should take around 45 minutes to complete.
Yes.
It starts near the bridge crossing Pencil Pine Creek.
Yeah.
And meanders through magical mossy forest. Along a cascading creek with outstanding colourful fungi especially during the colder months, you might see paddy melons and wombats.
They're the robotic wombats.
Yeah, they're on the edges of the forest. Look, to be honest, I thought enchanted forest, but really it was.
I thought it was called the ballroom forest, but I think that's part of the Dove Lake walk. There's a part that's
there is. Yeah,
that's called the ballroom forest. It's a bit similar, but this one was beautiful. Because, I really.
Yeah, the name suits it. Put it that way.
It certainly does. So one thing I started to touch on before, which is really important, is how you get around in Cradle Mountain National Park. Yeah. So
as Leanne said, you can't drive within Cradle Mountain National Park during opening hours. So the Cradle Mountain shuttle bus is the best way to explore. It leaves from the visitor centre every 15 minutes, stopping at all the park's main destinations, including the Interpretation Centre, Dove Lake and Ronnie's Creek.
Yeah, so it's a huge car park, massive, and there's coaches, and because some people go obviously there for day trips and things. And so, you park there, and it's, it's got the Tourist Information Centre, it's got cafes, it's got a couple of restaurants, there's a whole lot of information. And yes, the shuttle bus, you buy tickets too? I can't remember how much they were, but, and it just sort of entitles you to get on and off that for the day, or how many days.
I think it was about $13.
Yeah, how many days you're there. So, and you need to figure out where you want to get off, because sometimes they can drop you at one car park, and then you can hike over sort of some not mountains but hills, to get to the beginning of Dove Lake. So you need to have a bit of a map and a bit of an idea of where you're going. But where it took us was right to the beginning of Dove Lake, and then it just picks you up from the same spots. Really good service.
Oh, look, it's really well organised.
Yeah.
I mean,
the infrastructure.
You give it certainly 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
The infrastructure is quite modern there, which surprised me. I don't know when it was built, but it was pretty classy, really.
Yeah. You said you got a little bit of history for us.
Yes, I have a very small amount of history for Cradle Mountain, because there's only 66 people that live there. The first Europeans to explore and summit Cradle Mountain were Henry Hellier and Joseph Fossey, who were surveying Tasmania in 1827 and 1828.
Okay, cool.
So that's basically all the history.
Okay.
So,
well, I'm sure there's more. But, but so we've talked, about the beautiful walks that you can do, and the challenging walks you can do, and there's obviously some other bits and pieces. But what about where we stayed? How nice was that?
Yeah, we stayed at the Cradle Mountain Wilderness Village.
Now this has like little individual cabins, and they're all sort of right in the bush, like they don't clear tracks and things. I mean, there's obviously little roads to and you can park out under you've got your own parking, but that you can look at your door, and it's not like a manicured lawn or anything. It's the beautiful Cradle Mountain bush. And but the cabins have everything you need, don't they?
Yeah, basically they include well-equipped kitchenette.
Yep.
Dining area, lounge area, bathroom, fully insulated with double glazed windows, electric heating, and there's car parking outside your door. Look, it was about, I had a look on booking.com. It's ranked at 8.6, fabulous, with over 2,000 reviews. Look, it was $760 for the 2 nights, and everywhere I looked, there was a minimum of 2 nights.
Yeah.
That's the going rate. It's not cheap, but you're right in Cradle Mountain. And
you can stay in other places that are cheaper away.
Yeah, I suppose you could do the camping, whatever.
What? We said no C words.
No C words.
Stop it.
But there were other places I looked at, was the where we actually had a drink, which was that Pepper Cradle Mountain, and that was really, really nice.
Yeah.
And then we also, I think, had a drink at the Cradle Mountain Hotel.
That the Peppers one, that's where the Enchanted Forest Walk is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see, there's the bridge right there, and it's that it's like a log cabin-y sort of place, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I might have got confused then.
Okay.
With between the Enchanted Forest and, what did you say, the Ballroom
Forest
one? Yeah. Maybe I did, but look, as I said, we had a drink at Cradle Mountain. The Peppers at Cradle Mountain, and like very, very flash, typical Peppers.
But I was really happy where we stayed, because it had a lovely restaurant, didn't it?
Yeah, the restaurant was fabulous. And they had the Hellier Lounge and bar.
Do you know why it's called the Hellier Lounge?
Maybe because he was one of the guys.
I know, right?
Yeah, I know. I sort of picked that up myself. But look, it was really, really good. And interestingly enough, at happy hour, all the drinks, I mean, the whole bar, whether you're having a bottle of wine or a scotch or whatever, the whole lot is discounted by 20%. And there's beautiful verandas outside the restaurant that you can, especially if it's on a nicer afternoon, you'd look out there and the views are fabulous.
Oh, the views are beautiful.
Look, we ate there.
Yeah.
I think actually included in our tariff was breakfast.
Yeah.
So we had a buffet breakfast there. It was really nice. And we had dinner. I can't exactly remember what we had, but I remember
the wine.
Yes. we had a Ballongong.
Yeah.
Okay, and I can give you. This may surprise you. I can give you a little bit of information.
Well, as long as it doesn't go on and on about the buttery tones.
I think it might.
No, please.
Ballongong Valleyfield Vineyard, family-owned and operated boutique vineyard near Longford, Tasmania. The vineyard produces exceptional quality fruit for Pinot Noir, and we source some similar fruit.
They source?
Well, they source, yeah. Locally for our Riesling and...
For their Riesling, yeah.
For their Rieslings. Can I finish this?
Yeah.
I obviously took this off their website, so let me just say...
Yeah, okay.
The vineyard produces exceptional quality fruit for our Pinot Noir, and we source similar fruit locally for our Riesling and Sauvignon Blanc, with plans to expand the vineyard and produce their own fruit for these varieties. The Pinot Noir, Cellar Doors, $38. The Sauv Blanc, which was what we had, was $30. Now, palate is lightly peppery, delicate and fresh, with crisp apple, lychee and lime peel, and a lingering mango finish.
Which one's that though?
That's a Sauv Blanc.
Okay.
And
no wonder I liked it.
Yeah, And look, seriously, it was a beautiful wine.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. But the food, everything, the whole experience of that lodge, and you're so close to everything.
Do you know what's really nice? I think, a lot of people think the camping and the hiking thing, like obviously you can spend the day. I mean, there were people in the bar that had their hiking gear on and they'd been to the top of the Cradle Mountain summit and stuff, so there's some serious hiking going on, but then they come home at the end of the day and they've got a nice bathtub to soak in and a nice bar to sit and have a drink and a nice, restaurant to have a nice meal. So it's, like it doesn't have to be all camping and hard work,
No, we certainly didn't do that.
We did some hikes, like stop it. But do you know what I mean? Like it's you can have quite a glamorous holiday there.
Yes. And that's what I thought we had.
We did.
Look, unfortunately, we did have to go and do some walking. But that was, but fortunately, the weather was nice, so it was all okay.
It was great. So if you really, don't want to do, you might want to do some small hikes and things, but if you want to experience some of the wildlife in the area, because that's another thing that Cradle Mountain National Park is known for, is the variety of our Australian animals, right, to see. And there's a couple of things you can do. There's actually a Tasmanian devil, not a reserve, but like a hospital breeding area, so you can actually go and nurse one of the animals, and but you wouldn't nurse one.
Oh no, I know, I would, but yeah. So because with the that particular tour.
No. What about the Tasmanian devil?
That's what I was going to say.
Okay.
The Tasmanian devils. Yeah. If you look up the website, it's Devils at Cradle. It is a nocturnal tour.
Yeah.
And it's you get to watch the
feeding of them.
The feeding of them. Yeah. It starts around 5:30. It's $42.50 to go and have a look. It's after dark feeding with expert commentary. They have now. Why I wouldn't actually cuddle, and I'm not sure why.
Just for people who've listened to some of our previous podcasts about crocodiles and sharks, and you're probably sensing a bit of a theme here about Lyle. But so anyway, continue.
Okay, they have the strongest bite per body mass of any living mammalian carnivore, exerting a force of 553 Newton.
Right.
Now, I don't know where Newton came from, but just as a bit of a comparison, a male person has a bite of a 285. Female on average have 253 Newton. Now, a North American carnivore, the wolf, has 2,255 Newton. Now, which animal has the strongest?
Lol crocodile.
Lol crocodile, yes. And it's unbelievable. It has 16,460 Newton.
Right.
So, obviously they're a lot bigger than the Tasmanian devils and all that sort of thing.
So let's just bring this back around to, away from your science lesson, back to the Tasmanian animals. What you're saying is, for the size of this creature, it's got the strongest bite per size.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is, there's no way known I'll be picking up a Tasmanian devil.
That was my point. Okay, yeah. So you can go and see them, though. If people aren't quite as, what's the word I'm looking for?
I've got no idea. But what I can tell you, and this is a little bit more science, okay.
Oh, yay.
How do you know if you have a strong jaw? This is as a person. If your chin protrudes further than your bottom lip on profile, you have a strong chin.
Which
jaw.
Chin?
Oh, that's unkind. Yeah, but anyway, so let's look. The Tasmanian devils worth going to see.
Of course, and they're only in Tasmania, so
that's correct. Yeah. Well, they are only in Tasmania. Yeah. They had a lot of trouble with, they nearly
disease and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Disease and also
poaching and things like that. Yeah.
Well, dogs, all that
dogs.
Sort of thing, foxes and that sort of stuff. So, but we actually went on
you stop yelling at me.
The McDermott.
he's getting excited.
Well, this is one of my favourite parts. McDermott's.
It is not.
Okay. Why isn't it?
Because it's my favourite.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell people why. And don't you spoil my thunder.
I'm not.
I'll be so angry if you do that.
McDermott's. We went on McDermott's Cradle tours. $54 an adult, $29
nighttime tour.
Yeah, it's a nighttime tour. You get on a
little minibus.
Well, they take you for a bit of a walk first, and then they put you on the minibus. It's 2 hours. You get a professional guide. They do a pick-up and drop-off.
And you're out to see the nocturnal animals, but they also provide with torches, and they've got a big spotlight up the front. They've got someone, and they're driving slowly through the national park sort of areas where you can drive, and you've seen, you see possum after possum, and wallabies and kangaroos and paddy melons, like
echidnas.
Yeah, everything. Like you see it, you can't not see animals, right?
One of the things I think about that really stood out to me about Cradle Mountain was the amount of Australian animals that are basically only found in Australia. And on this nighttime tour we went, obviously most of them are nocturnal. They're everywhere.
Yes.
And it was like I've never seen anything like it. And most of the animals are so, what's the word, unique. Yeah. We didn't see any platypus on this particular tour, but a platypus for our international guests, as Leanne said, 68 countries.
Yeah.
Australian duck-billed platypus are the perfect example of weird. They lay eggs, they nurse their young with milk, toothless, with webbed feet, and most interestingly have 10 sex chromosomes.
Right.
5 Y and 5 X. So you just get the chance to see all these beautiful, different, unique animals that you've probably never ever you've probably never ever heard of.
Yeah.
But
probably never see again. I want to talk about mine. Can you finished on your...
I was just about to lead into now Leanne's favourite.
Yes, animal. Thank you. Oh, I've been waiting. How long? My favourite Australian animal is by far the Wascally wombats. I just love them. There's 3 different types, I know. Yes.
Sure.
And I was so keen to see wombats. And sometimes when you're walking around these hikes in the national park, just wandering around, wombats are just there. Now, they're not scared of you. They don't, they just do their own thing, right?
Yep.
So but we didn't see any while we were walking around, but we did on our nighttime tour. And we hop out of the bus, and there's a track you walk along, and then there's these little green rolling hills. And all over this hill are these gorgeous wombats just wandering along, eating the grass, doing their own wombatty things. And
like they dig tunnels.
They do dig tunnels. That's where they live. They live in tunnels. But let me tell you a little bit about wombats and why I think look, they're just beautiful, right? I think but when they're born, the baby wombats are called a joey, and they're 2 grams, the size of a jelly bean. Like, they're tiny little things, and they stay in their mum's pouch for about 5. He's laughing at me, for about 5 months. So
I can't believe that you've actually done some research.
I know, right? So male wombats are called jacks. So female wombats are called
chills.
There we go. Oh, he's clever. And they are a relative of the koala, which you can sort of see,
Yeah,
like
they've both got fur.
Cuddly, yeah.
But I wouldn't pick up a wombat.
You couldn't.
No.
No, not because you.
No, on average they're about 20 to 35 kilos.
I know, they're solid little, like,
mothers.
Yeah, they really are. So the thing I love about them though is, here's another interesting fact. Did you know their teeth never stop growing?
I did know that. I saw that somewhere.
Yeah, so they just keep eating, and obviously it wears it away, but they never stop growing. But they are very slow. They have a very slow metabolism, and it takes between 8 to 14 days for their food to be to digest a meal, right? So, and that's one of the things that contributes to the most fascinating fact about wombats that nobody knows. Well, some people know. And you know what it is, so I'm not going to ask you. So wombats do square poos, like cube poo.
Correct.
Like little squares, right?
Well, cubes, yeah.
Yeah. And it's true, cubes, because it's, we've had this sort of argument before, haven't we, about its shape? Let's not go there.
That was in the Louvre in Paris.
Yeah, that was
anyway.
But they're saying that probably one of the reasons is can be because it takes so long to get through the digestive tract. But the reason, and what they do is they do these poos and they stack them up around their tunnel, their home, because they're marking their spot so it's very clear for other wombats to say, oh, there's a pile of square poo that belongs to someone else, right?
And, okay.
And then
I didn't realise that.
And then if it's round, it would roll away. So they stack it, and you can see these little stacks of poo around.
Yeah. She's not having a Lindy.
I'm not. But get this though. This is hilarious. They poo a lot. They do between 80 and 100 poos a night.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's a lot they don't stack, I guess.
Well, what happens to that?
I don't know. Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? So anyway, I love the wombats, and there is a video of me getting all excited about seeing a wascally wombat, and on our Instagram stories.
Yes.
Up, if you go up to the Tasmanian one, and there's also some photos of the wombat in question, and I was very happy to see the wombats.
But they look quite funny. They because they've got really short legs and they've got a very short tail, and they're so solid. Like when they're moving, they look actually. They do look very cuddly, and they sort of like wobble along. But one of the things I found out is that they can go up to 40 kilometres an hour running. Yeah, but I don't think they run for long. I don't think that's over, I don't think they run for long. But they are cute. They do look cute.
So Cradle Mountain is absolutely the perfect spot to see all the Australian wildlife that you'd want to see, yeah?
Yeah, I was really blown away with it.
Well, we certainly spent a bit of time in Cradle Mountain there, didn't we? But yeah, it was certainly worth it. Beautiful spot. And if you're only going to go to one spot in Tasmania, it probably should be Cradle Mountain.
Yeah, highly recommend.
But we had to move on.
We did.
We popped in our car and we drove how many kilometres?
What did we do? We popped in the car.
Yep.
Okay.
And how many kilometres did we drive?
We drove 182 kilometres to
Stanley.
The beautiful town of Stanley.
So what we've done is we've gone sort of from the middle right up to the northwest of Tasmania. So we're now back up at the top, and you can see we're on Bass Strait again. So
Yeah.
And Stanley's only and look, on the way though, what we were quite surprised in was the beautiful landscape. It sort of went from the rugged national park to farming land.
Yeah.
And beautiful green rolling hills and beautiful little farmhouses and gardens and the animals, and it was like the old fashioned sort of farming area that you'd imagine to see. And then I don't know how far out, but you can actually see the one sort of feature of Stanley that most people go there for, quite a way out, can't you? And it's the Nut, yeah?
Yes, the Nut.
Yes.
The huge and almost unnatural-looking rock formation is actually a volcanic plug.
Yeah.
This is the hardened lava from inside the volcanic chute, which arose at a slower rate than the surrounding land. The initial trail up is quite steep, so
we'll get to that though. Going up the mountain, because we got to that a bit later in the day, didn't we? Going up the mountain,
we did.
Yeah. So, but it's like as you said, it's like a lava plug, which is a weird thing. But it's huge, right?
It is big.
So as you come into town, you can see that, and it's sort of on a little peninsula area, Stanley, isn't it? And you sort of one road in, one road out, and we stayed at the Seaview, Stanley Seaview Hotel, I think
Correct.
It's called, or motel, which was just out of town a little bit, but it was great because I got some beautiful photos back over the Nut and the city, the little village of Stanley at sunrise and also at sunset, and it's just beautiful to see that. But we were only there for a short time, and it's one of the places where we had probably some of the yummiest food, and we were recommended to book into some of the places we went. But okay, so now we've been to the Seaview motel, which is where we stayed. We went
the Stanley Seaview Inn. It was $155 a night, which was
good value
compared to a lot of the other places. It was pretty good value.
Yeah.
Look, it's rated at 8.4. Booking.com. It's got free Wi-Fi. There's a beautiful balcony that goes right around the property. It's not a young property.
I was going to say it's a bit older, but that makes it more spacious.
Yeah, it was. But there was plenty of room. There was a really good bar area there, which obviously Leanne and I partook, and it was really nice. But as Leanne said, and my favourite part of Stanley was the food.
Yeah.
I loved it.
So when we first got there, we needed lunch, and so we went into. We were recommended a seafood place.
Yes,
right
it's
on
called
the water.
Hersey's Seafood.
Yeah, it's well known. And they've got like their own fleet of boats and things.
Their fleet of red fishing boats source Tasmanian's wild caught seafood to your plate. Using sustainable fishing methods, they use line and hook to catch fish and keep their lobsters live in tanks so they are available all year round. Look, we had lunch.
We didn't just have lunch. Come on.
Well, actually, it was really nice wine too. I'm sure we had I think it was a Joseph Promy.
Yeah, but we had crayfish.
Yes, we did. We had crayfish, and they do crayfish any way you want it.
They do, and
you think of a way to do it, and they'll do it.
But then at night we went to the
Stanley Hotel,
which we were recommended, and we were told we needed to book, and we'd already
booked the day before.
Yes, we booked before we got there, but we had ordered ahead of time more crayfish / lobster.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, I've had one for lunch. I can't do it for dinner. But it didn't stop you, did it?
No, I think I had lobster, fresh and crayfish. No, it was lobster.
Okay.
It was actually I found out what the difference between lobster and crayfish is. The lobster have two big claws, whereas the crayfish don't.
I'm laughing because
two big claws out the front.
Lars trying to show me what a okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to get.
So they have two really big claws out the front.
You don't need to show me them again.
And they don't have that crayfish. In fact, they're not even related.
Okay.
But anyway, we'll move right along. I had crayfish natural for lunch, with a crayfish salad. It was $45 for half a cray. Beautiful. Then we went to the Stanley Hotel, and I had
Yeah,
lobster Mornay.
Yeah.
And
I had the famous scallop pie.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
which
did.
had was almost a little bit. I think it was like mildly curry, which was just beautiful.
Yeah, look, I'll give you a bit of a spiel on the old Stanley Hotel.
Oh, great.
At the Stanley Hotel, they specialise in local seafood and steak. Now, at the start of the menu, they go through where they get all their supplies from their lettuce, from their potatoes, from the farms that they get their beef. And obviously, now part of this was they stand by their commitment to use only the freshest seafood. The Hawthorn, Hardy, Percy, and Bishop families supply us daily with what comes in from the local fishing boats, including scallops and lobsters.
Yeah. So
look, the scallop pie was $29. I think I paid $45 for the
whatever it was. It was.
But I had a look at the Scotch fillet. The 300-gram Scotch fillet was $49, which isn't cheap. But I'm thinking the quality. Yeah. If it's anything like the seafood, look, it was brilliant.
However, can we just keep going with what we did eat? We also had oysters, which they were local oysters, which were massive. And I've got a video of apps, on our stories of those oysters because I couldn't get over just how big they were. Yeah?
Do you know why they're so big?
Yes, I do, but I'm sure you're going to tell us.
Well, yeah. Well, I couldn't believe that how big and creamy the oysters we had in Tasmania were, and it was right pretty much everywhere we went. They were huge. They were beautiful. It's because they're actually a Japanese oyster, and they were imported, I think, illegally in the 1940s,
and they stayed.
And most states in Australia
don't allow them now.
Don't allow them because they're like imported.
Yeah.
But obviously Tasmania have still got them.
Yeah.
And they are beautiful.
Okay, so I think we've made ourselves hungry enough now. Let's talk about, which you started at the beginning. One of the reasons people go here is to go up besides the seafood, is to go up to the Nut. Yeah. And you were going to tell us about getting up there.
Yeah, basically you can walk up. It's pretty steep at the start, but you can do it. Or like what we did, you catch the chairlift.
Yeah, and I've got videos of that as well, and some pictures on our website at beachtravelwine.com, because you can walk all the way around the top. It's quite a walk around, and once again we had a spectacular day. And so the views over Bass Strait were stunning, and then the views back down over the Stanley township, and of course there's the beach area there as well. It was just beautiful.
Yeah, and so sort of actually Stanley's on I suppose you'd call on a peninsula. It's sort of like a slip.
Yeah, that's what I said as we drove in. It's on a little peninsula. Yeah.
So it is beautiful. The beaches were they look glorious.
Yeah.
But the chairlift, $17 for adults return.
Yeah. And it's
or
worth
$11 for kids.
But you can you don't feel bad if you don't walk up, because there's a decent walk around the top, is what I'm saying.
Sure.
Yeah. And you can either get the chairlift back down, or you can slowly make your way back down, and that's probably going to take you an hour and a half if you're taking your time to have a good look around there. Don't you think?
To be honest though, I mean the actual vegetation on top of the Nut is pretty.
Well, it's just like
mundane.
Grass.
Yeah,
it's just a grass plain.
The reason you go up obviously for the sea views.
For the views, yeah. So Stanley's a lovely little spot to pop in for a night or two to get some beautiful seafood. And
the Federation houses in that main street.
And also that's right. So it's the seafood. Obviously explore the Nut. At the right time of year, you can actually see penguins on the beach as well. They do penguin tours, and they've got some lovely sort of Federation type little cottages, that sort of back onto the Nut in the background, and their picket fences and their beautiful gardens, and the main street is full of quirky little shops and cafes and things like that as well. So it's a lovely little place to wander around.
Oh, look, it was beautiful. There's only the population's only 595, so I think they rely on tourism,
Yeah, of course.
and the fact that they're reasonably
Yeah.
close to Cradle Mountain and that sort of thing. But it is a beautiful little town.
Yeah, we loved it. So that's the end of our part 2 of our lap around Tasmania. Lyle, darling, this is going to be a hard one. Where is your favourite place to have a wine in this part of our road trip?
Well, I got to say, it's pretty easy.
Oh, don't you take mine?
I think it's pretty easy because more because I love the wine and I'd never heard it before.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to the Ballangong Sauvignon Blanc, and that was at the
Helia restaurant at Cradle Mountain.
Yeah, that's mine.
All right, you can have that. Right, you don't leave me much else, do you?
What about the Stanley Hotel?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say the Joseph Cromie that we had there probably was because it had lovely views as well. I did enjoy the.
Well, it had a deck out the back.
Yeah, it did. It was really, really nice. So, okay, but wherever we go in Tasmania, the wine is spectacular, and we're going to tell you more about that in the next instalment of our lap around Tasmania. So until then, mi amor, it's goodbye from me.
Adios, amigos.